Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to talk about HTML form validation by using JavaScript. So far I have discussed many things about JavaScript. I discussed various types of data structures such as array, set, map. Then I talked about iteration, how we can use the different types of loops over the each of the iterable object, and how to write function, what are the different types of functions that are used in JavaScript. Okay, so now it's time to use the JavaScript to do some kind of validation when we are trying to submit the form. Let's say you are trying to submit a sign up form. Then what you need to validate? Okay, so suppose there is a field, and that field is for first name. So here you only needs to enter the alphabetic characters, right? But in case someone used illegal name, or we can say that the name that shouldn't look good, or the data may not be correct, enter the data may not, or sometimes people may enter the numbers there. Okay, that's what you need to validate. Okay, about phone number, if I say so, you don't want any alphabetic character in phone number, right? Your number should be only in number digits. Then your email should be a proper in proper format, and then you must need to enter the password, okay, whenever you are going to sign up. So here you need to ensure that user has entered the same password for both the field, means for password and confirm password. So this kind of validation is required, okay, whenever you want a clean data, the data which is the correct data. Okay, and to make this happen, we need to use JavaScript functions to validate these fields. Yes, definitely we can do that. So these form fields can be validated by two ways. First one is client side. That is what we are going to see in this video. Client side is nothing but JavaScript programming. Server side, whatever the backend programming language user has used, that is what also used for the form validation. But it is, I mean, server side validation is longer, or it takes larger time, because your data should go to the backend and then validate and then return receive the response. Instead of that, you can use JavaScript directly to validate the data here itself before your form getting submitted. Okay, so these are the fields. Okay, what are the fields? Input field should not be blank. Okay, this kind of validation means whenever you have to make that the field is first name is mandatory, then you need to apply some logic so that the user should not leave this field blank. Okay, then number validation, then email validation, mobile number validation, password match. Okay, these are the kinds of, our name should be only. So these are the just a few examples of validation can be anything, and it depends upon the requirement. But here in this video we are going to see how to use the JavaScript to validate the form. Whenever a user try to submit the form, user should get a appropriate message that what he needs to enter if he did not enter the data as we want. So let's start. So if I came here in a HTML file, so I will add form here. Here is the JavaScript file, that is what connected here, and I have put this script tag in a head because we are going to call the JavaScript once the document is loaded. What does mean by document is loaded? Okay, so whenever we load the HTML page, after that we are going to call the JavaScript function when user clicks that button, or user, when something is happen, whenever any of the event is happen, in that case we are going to call the JavaScript. And in my previous video, I mean in the events or JavaScript event video, I have discussed how to do that. Okay, here again I will discuss once more with little faster way. So what do we need? We need form first. So I will add a form. So now form is added. Then what you need to do? You need to add fields. And in case of form, you have two types of tags, that label and input. Input is used to take the input, and label is just used to give the information to the user that what should be entered. Okay, so what we can do to look the form better, we can use table here, and inside a table we can add form. And let me add form also. Okay, action is nothing but if you want to pass the data to any of the backend file, that may be a PHP, Java, or Python file. So you have to mention the for that file name here, and data will be flow, or that action, whatever the action you have defined. So that file will be referred. That data will be passed to that backend file. Okay, so we need not to worry about this action right now. So we are here to design the form. I will add a table row. Okay, and here in the table row, first I would like to add a TD, and inside this TD I'm going to add a label for first name. So we are going to validate the complete sign up form. Okay, so this is what the label I have added. Now I would like to add next field, or that is what the input field, because we have added label for first name, then we must need a input so that user can enter their first name. So input type should be text for first name. Yes, it should be text. Then what we can do? We have to mention the ID. So I will say f name. Again, you need to mention the name. Okay, name is attribute. That is what used here. Again, how to use the name to refer the object that I will show. Okay, we can add name, or we can give name attribute to the form also. And I will say sign up form. Okay, this is what the name I have given to my form. So now I will add few more rows here. Okay, 2, 3, and 4. So everything we will discuss whatever the content I have shown here. So we will enter. I am not using placeholder directly here, but yes, we can use that also. So I will talk on that in my next video, how to enter this, or how to add this text inside a input box. Instead, we are adding the messages to the user side of that input box. So what I will do, last name. Okay, so this is what last name, and here I will change the ID and name attribute L name. Now I wanted to add email here. So yes, that is what he added. So I will say email. I would like to write this like this. Okay. So email field. Okay. And for email, you must need to mention the type email. So at least basic, some kind of basic validation HTML should do. Okay, and we can validate the email as per our requirement, or the email validation is not a big deal. Okay, it should be in text, and instead of that I will say contact number. So this is what something contact. Okay, and I will refer the same, because text validation is somewhat we are going to see in case of first name last name. Email is also in the form of text, so instead of that I will say number validation. Then next is let's go for the password. Okay, if I say password, and here you can say password id pass one. Okay, and this is pass one, name also pass one. So you have to define these attributes. These are id and name. These are the unique attributes. You should not copy paste the attributes from first name to last name. Okay, otherwise JavaScript will get confused and it will not get the appropriate value. You will not get the what you wanted to do. The next is confirm password. Confirm password. So again, it should be in a password. Then ID is pass2. Okay. Here in case of confirm password, we will use name also as a pass2. And at last, you need to enter, or you need to add one row. At the last, when form is completely filled, you need a submit button. So I will add input type submit. There is an input type submit. Whenever you use this input type submit, okay, you will get a button. So I will say submit. Input type submit. Right here, if you want to change the value, by default you will see the default value is submit. When I go and when I refresh the page, submit button is coming on the top instead, because it is not added in the TD. I will add that in the table data, and I will add here. I want it to span over the two columns, so I will say two. So this is how I have created a form. Okay, so our interest is not to design the form, our interest is to validate the form by using JavaScript. Okay, so we can try to enter the values and we can try to submit this form. Okay, it will get submitted here in the URL. You will see the data. Okay, let me try to enter some value. If I enter this, I will say last name, birthday, and number is 966555555. Okay, 36. This is what the contact number. And if I enter some password, if I try to submit the data, yes, it is getting submitted. This is what the changes you can see in your URL. Okay, so our form is working fine. But what will happen if I enter the data incorrectly? Means if I go and if I enter the number here 9665555, okay, and if I try to submit the data, yes, data is still getting submitted. That's what I don't want. Here I wanted to validate the user has entered data correctly or properly, right? So what I need to do, I need to use a JavaScript or JavaScript function to validate those things. Okay, so what I will do, I will access that data here in case of JavaScript, but how to call the JavaScript code? Okay, so to call it, we need to use on submit. This is what the action or event handler whenever user try to submit the form, it will call that function, the function which we are going to write now in JavaScript. Okay, so I will write form valid. This is what my function name, and I will copy this and I will create the function here. How to create a function, we know that now. Now we have a function, but I want it should get called out. I have to test it first. Okay, so what I will do, I will say windows dot alert and function is called. I'm just checking, okay, whether my JavaScript code is working or not. If I try to submit the button, if I go here, if I refresh the page, and if I try to submit, yes, the JavaScript code is getting called, that function is executed, and function is called. That what the alert message we are going to see here. So now let's build the logic. So here we have first field as a first name, and I want only characters. Okay, what characters here? You can see that. So we want only alpha numeric character, means A to Z in block or small letters. Okay, so what we can do, we can go here, we can search. What we need now is something ASCII values. Okay, ASCII value table. So here I will show you where it is the ASCII value table. I might be saved ASCII table. Okay, this is what, yes. So whenever we type something, okay, in the form here, so we type some characters here, and all the characters from your keyboard has one number. That is what that number is representing for, or representation for the specific character. Okay, so I will show you, each character is designated by some number. So if I go here, okay, this is what, not ASCII table, and no, this site is not working. Okay, let me go here. If I go here, I have saved that, and yes. So this is what the site. Okay, you need to go here on this page, and you will get the codes, numeric codes for all the characters you can see on your keyboard. And that character, every time, okay, we can't validate whether it is A or B, but yes, there is a range of characters, range of numbers for the alphabetics, and we can use that range. How to use, I will show you. Okay, so it starts from 0, and the ASCII values are until 255, means 256 characters are there, that are presented by one unique number in computer system. So here you can see that decimal number, octal number, hexagonal number, binary number, and the symbol. What is the symbol? Then HTML number, and what is the use of HTML number, or what is the use of HTML name, I will discuss. Okay, so at very first place, null character is there. I'm not going to discuss each and everything. Okay, after that I will start immediately from here, because I want these printable characters. Okay, I don't want to deal with these characters, but if you need something, you can go here, you can refer. If you want to add the backspace in your HTML code, you can go and you can copy this code also. This will add backspace. If you want to add exclamatory mark, okay, there it should be somewhere, or yes, then you can add this code in your HTML, and this symbol will be added, or it will get added, or you can use HTML name, so that you can add. Okay, if I wanted to show you something, that if I want to add this exclamatory mark somewhere in my form, so this is just out of our syllabus, so I will add this in front of first name. And if I go and if I refresh here, you will see that exclamatory mark is added in front of first name. This is how it works. Okay, if you don't want to use this, and if you found the HTML name is there, yes, you can use that also. I never used this one, not sure whether it works or not, but yes, it should work, and the exclamatory mark remain same. So anything you can use to add the symbols in your HTML tags or HTML data. Okay, so what we need, that we need the characters. So what I will do, I will go down, go down, go down, and here you can see that our number is starting from 0 is represented by 48. Okay, and this is what the character code we can say. Okay, for 0 we have a character code called 48, and for 9, so there is 0 to 9 is represented by 48 to 57 number. Similarly, if you go down here, at is represented by 64, question mark is represented by 63, and this is how it works. And my interest is to see the char code for 65, I mean capital A or capital B. And if my number is, or if my char code is ranging between 65, means from capital A to 90 to capital Z, or if it is starting from 97 small a to 122, that is what representing lowercase z. Okay, so if my char code is ranging between these two criteria, then we can say that that user has entered only alphabetic or alpha characters. And that's what I want to validate the form. Okay, so what I will do, I have to make sure that user should not enter number here. I want user should enter the data from these two. So I will build the logic. Okay, but how to access the data, right? What user has entered. Yes. So there are 2 to 3 ways we can use. I will say let f name. Okay, this is what f name 1 is equal to, I will create 3 variables to demonstrate different ways to access the data from form. So I will say document dot, here you have to use the forms, and here you, what you need to pass is, you need to pass first form name, sign up form name. So first we are going to see how to access the data in the array. This is what kind of array we can say, but it's not array. This is the syntax of JavaScript. We access the data, and I want the data with or filled with f name. So I will say f name dot value. Okay, dot value is the attribute that is what used to get the value from input field. Okay, and if I go here and if I say window dot alert, and I wanted to see that what my f name 1 contains, or what is the value, or what value is getting stored inside my f name 1. This is the one way. Okay, similarly we can use our earlier used way also, that if I say f name 2 is equal to, I will say documents dot get element by id. Okay, get element by id, and id is f name dot value. So this will also bring me the value from the field which has a name attribute, oh sorry, id attribute called f name. And next is f name 3. So here you can directly refer the names, that sign up form dot f name dot value. So these are the 3 ways. Okay, what I will do now, I will add another message here, that f name 2 comma f name 3, to see that what these 3 variables are going to store the value, or what they will have the value once I try to submit the form. Okay, and if I go here, if I try to enter, and if I try to submit, so here you can see that only Brahmadev is returned, because this alert message is returning me only Brahmadev first variable value. Okay, only one message can be passed. So let me remove this. Okay, or for first I will demonstrate one by one. If I go, if I select here Brahmadev and try to submit, yes, it is showing me the Brahmadev value, means whatever the value I will enter inside my first name input field, that will be stored inside fname1. Same thing we will check for fname2. So if I go here, if I say fname2, try to refresh, and if I go and try to submit, yes, this is also giving me the fname. This is what just kind of validation to, so that you can understood what I am trying to do. So if I go and submit, yes, all the three variables are giving me the values. That is what I entered inside this. If I entered 1, 2, 3, and if I try to submit, yes, you will get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like this. But now we have a value. Okay, I don't need this much. What I will do, I will remove this, and I will keep only one variable. I don't need this. I just shown up what are the different ways to access the form data in JavaScript. Okay, so now we have a variable called fname, and which has the value, that is what user has entered. So now what I wanted to do, I wanted to check the data. So let's revise your string concept. So name is entered in the form of text. So this fname variable will be in the type of string, and we can use this that string, or we can loop through the string, right? So string is a iterable object. So now what I can do, I can apply a loop over that string. But first thing I wanted to validate is that if my fname is empty, so I will say if this is equal to blank. Okay, I wanted to pass some message to the user that first name cannot be, okay, blank. This is what it should do for me. Okay, this is what the message I wanted to display when user try to submit the form without entering the first name. If I hit here, you will see that the message is displayed on the screen, right? First name cannot be blank, but still here you can see that the blank values are getting submitted. Okay, I don't want this until and unless the form is getting submitted. So what you need to do, you need to use the return statement here. If this returns true, this form validation function returns a value as a true, then my form should get submitted, otherwise it should not get submitted. But where it is going to return, if there is a error, right? If there is a no data in the fname, or fname is blank, in that case I don't want to submit the form, so I will say return false. And now you will see the difference. Okay, if I go back, or let me remove this everything, and now if I try to submit the form, you will see that URL is not changed, because this form is not moved ahead, or it is not going to submit until my data is completely validated. So this return statement, okay, in on submit attribute is very important. And after that, what you are going to return from here, if there is a error, you don't need to write return false. Okay, and if I enter the data properly, okay, this is what the kind of validation here. If I enter the data, so now this field is not empty, f1 will not be a blank for me, and the form will get submitted. Here you can see that it is getting submitted. This is how it works. Form validation works in JavaScript. This return statement matters a lot. Okay, now we have validated that first thing that we don't want, first name to be a blank, or it should not be blank. It cannot be blank. Next is somewhat I would like to validate that user has entered only characters. Okay, and what I can validate. So what I need to do, if I enter the Brahmadev here, I need to check each of the character is alphanumeric or not, and how to that. So if you want to do that, you can loop, or you can apply the loop on this text. Okay, how to loop, right? Because the data is in the form of text. So what I can do, I can say that it has a length. Okay, string dot length property, you must be aware of this, and that property will return you number of characters in the string. Okay, starting from 0, indexes always start from 0, and same thing we will use here to apply the loop. So what I will do, I will say for, and I need to create a one local variable. So I will say I let I is equal to 0. Okay, this is what variable I have initialized. Then what I need to say, I need to say that I must be less than, okay, f name means whatever the value f name has dot length. So this will return me the number of characters. My index is always less than the length of characters in the string. So this is what I already discussed, and I wanted to increment the condition, means I wanted to increment the value of variable I. So that's why I used plus plus. Now my loop is ready. So now if I go, okay, and if I will show you how it works. If I say window.alert, this is what the message we are going to see, and every time I will print I. And you will see that if I enter the three values, okay, or this much only, if I enter the Brahma, okay, so this is what the value I have entered. So here you can see that index start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it should show me only 1 to 5 numbers, and it is getting submitted. Okay, because it is not a blank, because it is not a blank, and the form is getting submitted, right? Else block will, okay, but we are not going to, yes, we are going to use, or we are going to use this for loop. Then why it is not executed? Okay, window dot alert, yes, everything looks fine. Okay, I might be not refresh the page, and if I entered Brahma here, if I try to this, yes, it was not refreshed. That was the problem. So 0 is representing the first character of entered value. It's representing B in this case. So R is representing 1. These are the index of particular characters, 3, 4, 5, and done. So this is how it works. So now we are able to get the data. Okay, now what I wanted to do, I wanted to validate it. But how to validate? Okay, so to make sure that the user has entered a number which is either in the range of this, what, 65 to 90, or 97 to, means only alphanumeric character, 97 to 122, capital small a to, I mean lowercase a to lowercase z. So I wanted to make sure that only those alpha characters are entered by user. If anything goes no, I mean anything goes not well, or user has entered incorrect data, it should give a warning, and that form should not get submitted. This is what the mechanism we are going to build here. Okay, so we have a f name, we are ready to go through the each of the character, but how to go? Okay, so for that you need to use the if statement again. So what I will do, I will say if there is a method called f name, means there is a string method called char code add, and this method will return a ASCII value. That values are here. Okay, I will show you char code at I. This is what the index I passed is. Okay, and or let me show you first how it works, so that what number it is returning me. So I will demonstrate that first so that you can understand. I don't want you are to be go somewhere and search for anything. Everything you will find here in this video, all the details. Okay, so if I say fname dot char code at, okay, at, and here I will pass I. So now you will see the each character one by one entered and how loop works. If I try to submit here, so you will see the char code for B is 66. You go here and validate. For capital B is represented by the char code 66. Next is I will demonstrate only one or two. Next is R. R is in the lowercase, so you have to go to the lowercase. Lowercase r is represented by 114. That's why you are seeing the char code here as a 114. This is how it works for, and for each of the character we can check. So now what I need to do, I need to validate this, that whether my characters are entered, character code is in the between 65 to 90, or either in the between 97 to 122. That is what the range of char code for alphabetic characters. Okay, not alphanumeric. Okay, so I will use the logic here. Let me go, and yes. So what logic should I use? Right. So I need to pass multiple condition. Definitely I need to pass the multiple condition. So what I will do, I will create a one variable. I will say let char code is short form name for the variable I use. CC stands for char code. Okay, this is not a standard naming convention. I am just using for my convenient purpose. I will say fname dot char code at, and I is passed here. Okay, so this what this is going to return me, that we have seen just before. This is what going to return me a char code, and we have to check for that char code. So what I will do now, I will use if else here, because if else is a conditional statement that we can use to validate. And I want this cc number, okay, right, this cc number to be greater than or equal to 65, right? This is what my first condition. And yes, this is what less than or equal to 90. This is what my first condition. So we have checked the first condition. If this is true, my block will be executed. My if block will be executed. If this is not true, my if block will not be executed. Okay, and what I will do, I will add one more character, because we have to do the same thing for lowercase character. And I am using or here because my characters should be either from this range, or it should be from the range called 97 to 122. This is what my character range, right? So if these two conditions are not true, then my data is invalid. But how to validate? Because this is what not going to work for entire world. This is what going to work for, this validation is used for only one by one. But what I wanted to do, make sure that if this is true, right, if this is true, yes, then my data is valid. So I will say I will create one of the variable here. That is what used to store the value. Why we need, I will discuss. Okay, because this will check for each character, and if for any of the character it goes fail, or it is not valid, in case we, okay, I will say not let, I will use here, I will create a variable let checked check. Okay, this is what the variable I have created, and this variable is going to store nothing. It's a blank variable. But in case if this is a not valid, so when this will not be valid, if my condition, this condition goes unwell, or this condition is false, in that case that check is not valid, right? So here the, if this block will be executed, my condition should be valid. So I will say valid. Else if this block gets will not get executed, right, means the condition, this condition did not pass, then my else block will be executed, and here I will say check is equal to not valid. This is how I have created a two, I mean one variable, and based on the data it will say, either it will update the value of that check either as a validate or not validate. Okay, I will demonstrate everything now. Now we comes out of the loop. Okay, our loop work is done. Our purpose of loop is to update the value of this check. And if, okay, I have to add the message to the user, but when my data or value of check is not valid, so I will say if check is equal to not valid, in that case it should alert to the user that windows.alert by using this message or this function alert. Okay, and please enter alpha alphabetic characters only, alphabetic characters only, right? This is what the message we have to pass. But when value of this check is not valid, and as per this condition, when this condition means when user did not enter a character from A to Z, or any other character from alphabetic characters, okay, other than alphabetic characters, if any user enter the data, it will say not valid, otherwise it will say valid. Okay, this is how a loop works. So you need to be make sure while applying these conditions, because if this goes wrong, your validation will goes wrong. Now we are done with, yes, validation or whatever the logic we have to build. Once the logic is built, we will go here, we will, or I will refresh this. Okay, yes, refreshed. Now what I will do, I will say Brahmadev and I will try to submit. Enter alphabetic characters only. Okay. If I enter this, enter alphabetic, yes, for number it is giving me, but for this one, why it is not working? I will say not valid. Why this is updating not valid? This condition and this condition, both the conditions will not true. So I will add and here, it depends, okay, and I will add or here. So any of these, yes, any of this must be true. Both will not, yes, both will be true. There will not be a problem with and operator. So let me validate it for only one condition, that for capital letters, and let's see whether it is working or not. If I enter capital BRAMHA, and yes, the data is getting submitted. If this is valid, okay, and in that case, here we have to show the message, so it should return false. This is what I missed, but problem is again different. Okay, so if I enter Brahmadev, it should show me the message, enter alphabetic characters only. Yes, the message is true, but I usually enter the data, but this is what not in the range of 65 to 199. Okay, so everything is perfect instead of this condition. So now you need to be make sure, or you need to be very careful while writing the condition here. Okay, since this code is not working, we need to debug it. And how to debug it? Okay, let me add one more validation point, whether my check value is appropriate or not. So what I will do, I will print the value windows dot alert. I will alert the message and print the value of check. Okay, so what it is returning, it should return me valid if I enter the alphanumeric characters. Okay, and if I go here, something is went wrong with the code. Okay, let me say, if I enter the Brahma here and if I try to submit, yes, at very first place the value should not be a valid, but later on it is valid, it is valid, it is valid. Yes, yes. So all my code is, or all this logic is working very fine. The issue is with this. Okay, and if I try to show you, okay, if I enter this 1 2, okay, and if I try to submit this, now you will see last three will be invalid. Okay, not valid, not valid, not valid. So this is how it works. Now my status is not valid, and in that case I would like to add the message whenever my value will be, means this will add. Now here I will check the same thing I used, as I said, if I say check, okay, I used is equal to valid, but I would like to, or I supposed to check, it's my bad, everything was good with previous code also. I realized my mistake. What I missed here is that I don't want to assign the value. I would like to validate the value, whether this is valid or not. Because of this one missing equal to sign, I was getting an incorrect result, but now it is corrected. Everything was correct earlier also. Yes. So now I will refresh this form and I will enter the Brahma here and I will try to submit. So here you will see that valid, valid, valid. At the end, your form will get submitted. Okay. Now, what I will do, I will enter incorrect values and I will try to submit. Here you will see that it is showing me not valid, not valid, not valid, and you are getting a message that enter alphabetic characters only. Okay, and in case of this, if I entered webchamp, yes, it will get submitted. Valid, 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 valid. This is just a validation purpose. I added that message and the form data is getting submitted. Okay, so now this logic was correct. Because of this equal to sign, it was not working, my bad. Okay, else what I need to do, else I would like to return true. Okay, This is not required. Okay, if we do not write anything, return false, it will return true by default. And form. So this is what the logic we have seen in, or with respect to first name validation. Same thing you can do for last name for practice purpose. Yes, both will be same. Both should have only alphabetic characters. For contact number, yes, definitely we would like to build the logic. So now we will go for here, and we have ID or name called contact. So we will try to access the data. One thing we have validated, okay, and this is what, or if is done with only first name, this much code is only used for first name. So now we have to create a next variable called contact, and which is also going to give you the value. We will use another way to forms. Here I will use this way. What I will do, I will copy this form name. Okay, I'm just using a different method to access, a different way to access the data. I will say contact. Okay, these are the names dot value. If we use this one, yes, this will also work. Now I have to validate the contact. Yes, contact validation is very easy. Contact number should not contain any other characters, right? It should contain only numbers. And for the numbers, we have range between 48 to 57. 48 is for 0. So I want numbers, means from 0 to 9. I don't want any other characters. So I will write very simple code. You will get understood. Okay, it is very, very easy for this time, at least for the mobile number validation. And we can say that for, okay, yes, obviously every time we need to use for loop. If this is not sure, this is in the number format, how JavaScript will access, not sure. If it gives us error, we will convert that into the string. So I will initialize one variable called I. Then I is less than contact dot length length. Okay, why this is not populated up? Still using, or is there anything missing from my end? Okay, let me remove this. I don't want this. Else block is completed here. Okay, let me bring this to the top. Yes, this will bring me a value. Now what we will do, we will validate this also. If contact is equal to blank, yes, it should not return, or we should send an alert message to the user that window dot alert. And here we will put the message that contact number is required. Okay, this is what the message I would like to pass. Now if I enter Brahma here, that will not be a problem. Last name I will enter, and here I will enter nothing, and I will try to submit the form. Okay, this is what valid. What is this valid? Okay, I forgot to refresh the page because I removed that code. Yes. Okay, and why it is getting blocked? Oh my god, because of this one. I should remove this, and now enter the value. This is what not validated. Last name is not validated. Number, it should accept the number only. Yes, because we have typed. That's why you are, the moment you mention the input type as a number, okay, uh I mean HTML itself will not allow you to enter the alphabetic characters. It allows only numbers. Okay, so now we are good with validation, this kind of validation. But in case in case if I entered only 4 characters, okay, this will pass the data, right? This will not give a message because yes, the data is there, so it is not blank. So this message we will not see on the screen, right? Yes, we should see. I will try once again and try to submit. Yes, contact is equal to blank is getting submitted. That's what I don't want. So these statements will not work if I write anything here. I will show you if, and this is what, why, because our first statement is, or this block is going to return either true or false. When your JavaScript execution or JavaScript engine hit your return statement, no further code will be executed. Okay, so every time you don't need to write this. That's why it was grayed out. And now by default it is not going to return anything, okay, if until and unless there is a condition. So now it will works. And if I will say if contact is equal to blank, now this will work for me. Windows dot alert, okay. If your function is going to return anything, remember this, if your function is going to return anything, the lines after that return statement will not be executed by the JavaScript. This is what the JavaScript syntax. So you have to make sure that unnecessarily your JavaScript should not return anything. So if this condition is true, this is what going to return. So JavaScript will treat this is a false condition and it will not return. If it returns, we don't need to execute this code. If my validation is failed for first name, I don't want to validate this contact, right? So this is how it works. If contact is equal to blank, Windows should add alert message. What alert message it should add? So please enter contact number. Any message you can put, okay, as per your convenience. And if I go and if I refresh, if I try to, or if I add this, and if I try to submit the form, it will show you please enter contact number because first name is valid. So what you need to validate is, you need to validate whether the data is entered or not. Another thing is, what you need to validate is in the else block, okay, if this is not blank, it should means the length of your number, or right, size of your number should be 10. Not, I mean, your mobile number should not have numbers less than 10. And it should contain 10 characters, I can say. So let's say contact, and here I will validate if contact dot length, whether it is coming less than 10, then it may work or it may not work. We need to change this, okay, accordingly. If I need to convert this contact into the text form, we have something called toString method on the numbers. That is what we can use. It depends. If you want to check the type of operator, we can use what type of data or what type of data type is contact has. So if I say window dot alert number has this method called, okay, or we can alert here, not a type error. I will say type of contact. Okay, I am just worried about what it is going to return. So I will check so that I can build further logic. And if I enter, it is not, because it is not going to return me anything. Oh, okay, Did not refreshed. Yes, it is refreshed. Page is refreshed. Every time you need to make sure that your page is refreshed or not. Then this is what valid. This is what valid. If I submit yes, it is in the string format, then I need not to worry about anything. Okay. So length should be greater than, it should be greater. I mean, it should not be less than, okay, 10. So what I will do, I will add window dot alert, and I will add the message that that is what saying that contact, okay, contact number should be of 10 digit. Okay, this is what the message I'm going to pass. And this will check whether user has entered correct number or not. Okay, if I enter this is what valid. If I say 9096, I'm not sure whether I refreshed this page or not. Yes, I refreshed now, and I will say 9096, and I will try to submit the data. You are getting a message that contact number should be of 10 digit. Yes, it will not accept the number which has digits less than 10. Now we will come to the point, or now we will come to the validation point. So if I say return false, because if you do not return false, your form will get submitted and there is no use of this validation. So you always make sure that if there is something goes wrong, then you have to return false. If everything is well, it will automatically return true. You not worry about this. Then we will use another way to fetch the data, right? Let pass one. This is again very simple. Password matching or not, you have to just validate the values between two, and that is what very simple. Okay, now password one is equal to, what I will do, I will say documents dot get element by id, and what id I have used is pass1. I will put the value attribute so that it will bring the value, whatever the value user has entered inside pass to, okay, inside the HTML form input field. Okay, next is documents dot get element by id, and for second we have used id equal to dot value. This is how it works. Okay, so now we have to validate. Now what I will do, I will go and I will use next if else if pass1, if pass1 is equal to, or by type also we can check, or by value also it will check. Okay, if we use double equal to, it will check for the values. If we use triple equal to, it will check for the value and data type also. Or what I will do, I will say if this is not equal to, okay, pass1 is not equal to pass2, then message is what something I have to add is windows dot alert, and user message, user should see that password is not matching. Okay, password, what password you are going to enter is different thing. I will use this, I will use enter the number 9665555536. Okay, this is what the valid number, so this will not show me error. But in case of password, okay, what I will do, I will use different characters, de. Okay, and here you can see that for first field, for pass1 I entered only 4 characters, for pass2 I entered 5 characters. This is what not going to match here in this case, and if I try to submit, you are getting a message that password is not matching. This is how a form validation works in JavaScript. I hope you like the content of this video. I tried my best to give you the easiest possible ways to explain these things. Thank you so much for watching the video.